Every year in the UK, we use millions of tonnes of metal in both the construction and manufacturing of the products we all take for granted, such as cars, cookers, TVs, mobile phones, and games consoles. While some of these metals are rare and others are plentiful, they all are expensive to extract from the ground. These metals cost money to mine, and more importantly, they cost the planet through the destruction of habitats, plants, and animals. Mining itself causes pollution even when handled responsibly, with the transportation and processing of metals around the world increasing its carbon footprint even further. Metals occur naturally in the form of metal ore, which are tiny deposits of metal trapped in rock. Since the Bronze Age, man has been digging this ore out of the ground, crushing the rocks and heating them to great temperatures to melt these metals and collect them in usable quantities for construction. In the modern world, the demand for metals is huge. Enormous mining operations are now required to supply ever-increasing amounts of metal, with each of these mines requiring huge amounts of energy to extract the ore, to transport it for processing, and to prepare it for use. Mining operations also leave behind damaged, often polluted landscapes, along with large quantities of usually toxic waste materials, which are nearly impossible to dispose of safely. The metal recycling industry works to recover and recycle the metals we discard, using them to create new metal for new products. In the UK, this industry not only generates £5 billion each year for our economy, it also helps us save over 8 million tonnes of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and reduces our dependency on metal ore from mining.
My name is Miles Pilkington and I'm the Group Marketing Manager for Sims Metal Management in the UK. The most important thing about any kind of recycling is segregation as early as possible out of chain. The longer you wait to segregate different materials, the harder it will become later on. The shredder exists to help us cheap material coming in. It's a huge beast which rotates a 90-ton shaft with hammers on it at about 450 revs per minute. So that monster behind me can swallow 450 cars in an hour. If we sent a car through the shredder which wasn't depolluted, you've actually got lots of hazardous materials in there. So what we have to do with a car is drain all these liquids, take all the lead off, take the batteries out to ensure the car is safe before we can process it through the shredder. Once the material's gone through the shredder, you'll end up with a steel product. This steel product will be distributed along the docks where a 30,000 tonne vessel can sail in, and then that vessel will sail off to places like Turkey, even as far as China and India.
Iron and steel are the most commonly recycled metals, although there are several others in plentiful supply such as aluminium, copper, lead and zinc. However, recycling doesn't limit itself to large metallic items. Other rare and precious metals can also be found in much smaller electrical equipment.
This plant is a waste electronic and electrical equipment plant. So it can be your computer, it can be a lawnmower, it can be a hairdryer, it can even be a toothbrush or your favourite computer game. Whereas before we were looking at your iron and steel, aluminium and copper, now we're looking at precious metals.
What's in a computer? Well, really it's just a mixture of some plastic, steel, cables and a circuit board. It's the metals that are on that circuit board. Copper, gold, silver, palladium, they're rare metals, and by taking that board we can allow those metals to be recovered and reused again. If we didn't recycle these items, they would probably end up in a landfill. For every tonne of circuit board that we recover, the gold content alone is 4 times greater than what is in gold ore. And it's not just gold recovery from it. As I said, it's silver, palladium, copper, tin, lots of other valuable materials are being recovered through this recycling process we have here in Newport.
All of these products are recycled in the same way. They're collected from scrap metal companies, factories and local community recycling sites. Recycling plants such as this are saving our planet from the damage that would be caused by the mining, transportation and processing of new metal from the ground. The following figures demonstrate how much carbon is saved by recycling 100 tonnes of iron, which equates to 4 lorry loads as opposed to mining for it. Firstly, the extraction of iron ore itself produces 160 tonnes of CO2, whereas recycling requires no extraction whatsoever. The transport of this ore adds a further 48 tonnes to this figure, whilst the sourcing of recycled metals from around the UK produces only 1.5 tonnes. The processing of the mined ore into usable iron adds yet another 167 tonnes to this figure, with 375 tonnes of CO2 in total being released into the Earth's atmosphere during its production. By contrast, the recycling of our existing metals into the same amount of usable iron produces only 70 tonnes of CO2 in total, 80% less than mining it from the ground. By reducing our reliance on extraction and saving the CO2, the metals recycling industry is helping preserve our environment from the destruction of mining and the damaging long-term effects of global warming on our atmosphere.